A large Japanese-style mansion lies in the rocky terrain in the outskirts of Tokyo, Japan. Inside this mansion, the Himuro family practiced forbidden rituals that were long ago outlawed. The forbidden practice that contributed to the family's central structure was the strangling ritual, involving the sacrificial murder of a young girl. They practiced this ritual every 50 years as a way to combat bad karma that may come there from the portal that was located in the mansion's courtyard. They began taking a baby girl from within the family and raising her in complete isolation and secrecy all of her life. As the roped shrine maiden, it was crucial for her isolation so that she remained pure and free from worldly influences. Then, on the night after 50 years had passed, the master of the house and the priest would drag her off to shrine in the courtyard before binding her in ropes. While tied around her neck, arms, and legs, the ends were then tied to the team of oxen, where they then pulled her in all directions, ultimately tearing her apart. Then the blood-stained ropes were placed over the portal in the courtyard shrine, and should the ritual be successful, the bad karma would be kept away for another 50 years. This continued on in later generations until the last recorded ritual. During the preparations, the roped shrine maiden fell in love with a young boy she saw through her window. Unknowing of this, they continued on with the ritual. However, even after they ripped her apart, her blood and spirit were considered tainted, so when they laid the ropes across the portal, the ritual had then failed. Upon learning of her love, the master of the house became distraught, as he was responsible for ensuring the success of the ritual. Fearing for the family and the disaster that would come upon them, he became insane and went through the matches, brutally killing the entire family and anyone else presiding within the walls, before taking his own life with his katana.
Most urban legends tend to be mostly the same, with the exception of several different cultural things. In this case, this Japanese urban legend has a feeling of mysticism to it, so that could be the only difference I can think of between this urban legend and the ones I hear from the States. An urban legend usually comes from a grain of truth, like something did happen in that community, but then over time, as the story was told over and over, things were changed, kind of like playing that game where you whisper it into another person's ear and then they pass on the story until it becomes completely unrecognizable as what was first told. The age group of this story usually is told to around the preteens or young adults to make them understand something from the story. As an adaptation of the story, it's fairly spot on. Granted that it's been changed some to fit the narrative of a video game, because a video game isn't just about the story, even though it could be. A large part of what makes a game is the gameplay, so the story has been adapted well enough to fit around the gameplay, that being hunting ghosts, to actually fit very well and be a very truthful adaptation. The game made the story popular because before then it was very Japanese only urban legend, as most urban legends from that country are. But then once the game was popular enough to be warranted a release around the world, it became more popular because of the game. I would go online and then read further stories about it and what people have learned from the game, although I wouldn't go over to a haunted house in Japan to try to go and say, hey, is this real? And then end up getting myself probably killed. There are various reasons, one reason could be someone just trying to use it as a very convenient excuse to make themselves disappear from the public eye, or maybe some killers out there were hey, let's use this urban legend as a cover and then we could probably get away with it. And if that was the case, they probably have, since no one's heard from those people since then.
So the story of Himuro Mansion has been adapted to various forms of media. It has been written about in a book as well as made into a movie, but the most famous is the video game Fatal Frame, which incorporates the tale into gameplay. This video game really brought the story outside of Japan. Now, thanks to Fatal Frame, children all across the world, including in the United States, Canada, as well as Australia, all know the story of Himuro Mansion. Due to the popularity of the video game Fatal Frame, many people went out in order to explore and try to find the mansion. It is said that the mansion is located outside of Tokyo, and there are unconfirmed reports of up to 7 people being found dead in accordance with the story, because they have entered into the Himuro Mansion and were killed. Himuro Mansion, being based on a true story, is questionable at best. The video game Fatal Frame said that Himuro Mansion was based on a true story outside of Japan, which leads to the assumption that inside of Japan it's well known that it is just a legend.